everyone. For those of you who've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new, welcome to Small Talk. Speaking of welcoming back, my guest today's been here once before, and I'm really pleased that he's back. Time to meet Doug Wallace. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again.
For sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm wondering why in brackets it's got Argyle.
Oh, that is my independent character.
Oh,
the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair and other places. Argyle travels around. I have a show that's about a half hour, 45 minutes, depending, where I do Scottish culture and cooking and comedy. And after the show, you can arrange the C's however you wish. And the haggis recipe that I give is legitimate, and people have made it. And then I also have done some Robbie Burns dinners and things like that as well.
Okay. So yeah. Speaking of haggis now, people that have never tried it before, do they like it?
It's a little bland. Seems to be the big knock on it. Also, they can't get past the ingredients. It's basically all the guts of the sheep and some oats and barley, onions, and it's all cooked in the stomach.
Yeah.
And that seems off-putting until as I do in the show, as I say in the show, if you like hot dogs and sausage and things like that, it's all stuffed in the intestines. We at least use the stomach.
Right.
So it is like that, but it tends to be on the bland side.
Oh, okay. All right. I've never tried it myself, but I certainly would, and I think that if you're hungry, you're going to eat.
Oh, absolutely. But it's not really one of those foods that's disgusting when you put it in your mouth, like some of the more exotic foods.
Right.
If anything, it's the mental letdown because your anticipation was far worse than the actual meal.
Right.
But it's a hearty meal, and you can understand why people a few hundred years ago would have etten it.
Absolutely.
It's with you, and it travels well.
Oh, it does.
So you can, because once you've cooked it, it's sort of, I don't know. It's sort of like it's got its own little package, and you just kind of wrap it up, and then you can get into the Highlands and eat it whenever you need.
I just think it's awesome. I'm just like it made me think about, like, as a child, we ate a lot of rabbit, and we would fight for the eyeballs. Right. And you look back on it, or to you it's natural, and then you mentioned it to somebody else, and one person's treasure is another man's trash. For sure. I have my show isn't gross. It's I actually have a life-size sheep that I'm going to be introducing on this Saturday at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair for the first time. It is the size of a medium dog, so it's basically life size. And I will open it up, and I pull organs out of it that are made out of cloth. My wife made them many years ago for me, and she said, "Oh, by the way, I made you a pancreas." And I said, "Do sheep even have a pancreas?" This was many years ago, and they do. We looked it up because, after all, ignorance is a choice nowadays. And so they do. And I said, "What made you, make a pancreas?" And I knew I could. And I'm starting to think, look what was going through her mind. Oh my God.
I'm making lungs and a stomach here. And I can make a pancreas. So I tell people that I give away a prize if you can guess what this is, and it's this little pancreas that I hold up.
Oh my gosh, I would love to see that. That would be so much fun. Oh,
somebody did record it on YouTube, so
good. People must really enjoy it, though, right? The Renaissance.
Oh, the Renaissance Fair is fantastic. It's a 35-acre park, and so once you come in the front gates, for the most part, you are taken back in time.
Right.
I mean,
There are paved roads and flush toilets, and electricity. But you can it's a nice escape. And there are people that literally come every weekend. And when I first started working there, I asked them, why do you come back every weekend? And they said, where else can you go for a few weekends a year? And everybody's happy to see you. And everybody greets you with a smile, and you can forget about the outside world for a few hours.
Yeah, that's
it is, and it's so important. It's always been important for us to be able to get away, but it even more so now. I think we really kind of appreciate.
You are really busy, because when I look on your Facebook page, I mean, it's like your profile, right? You're as you said at the top, you're at work now. Correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what time is it there?
It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. So you're okay. So how come you have a little time to do this at 3 o'clock?
Well, we are putting the finishing touches on our classrooms today. We have a couple of teachers meetings tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow night is back to school night.
Right.
We welcome all the new parents at 5, and then the middle school parents and students are coming in at 5:30, and it's an open house. It's a chance for them to bring their school supplies, and then the students come on Thursday, and we're ready to roll. And I guess I'm an unusual teacher. I do enjoy the time off. I do. You need to recharge your battery, but I am ready. I love doing what I do, and I love being at this school, St. Catherine Labouré. It's fantastic, and the students are great. And we have our challenges, but we also have amazing successes. So really proud.
Yeah, what do you teach?
I teach this year. I'm going to be teaching religion to my homeroom, and then I teach grammar and writing to 7 and 8, to grade 7 and 8. Yeah, so I try to trick them into being able to become writers. They're always so reticent.
No, I can't remember what we talked about the first time you were on, but we will just sort of go through some of the things anyway that you're involved in, because there's so much of it. You're part of the educational strategy team at Black Youth Helpline.
Yes, absolutely. And we are just I was on a task force, I guess, or where we are getting some student youth advisors. So we want actual students who are either in high school or have just left high school, so that we can make sure that our message is getting through clearly to the actual people who need it, and the people who are going to take advantage of it. And also listening to the pitfalls that they see, either themselves or others falling through, that we can try to close that gap as well. So we really need people that are in the school system, that are young, that are the actual people we're trying to serve.
Yeah, they're able to relate to them at that point, right? Yeah.
Right. And really for us, it's really a matter of listening, and we can do the translation later into the information that they give us, and then we can start to come up with policy or a strategy after we listen to them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, guys. I interviewed a young rapper who ended up in prison, and he now is, his goal is to get motivate other young people that are going down that road not to do it. So, like you said,
right.
And an adult talks to a young person, sometimes they hear blah blah blah.
That's exactly right. I could say literally the same thing as he says, but because of our age and because I only taught in prison and worked in prison, I've never, I was never locked up. My advice or my guidance only goes so far. And I know that, and so I don't try to sell them on something that, that I can't follow through on.
Yeah.
But mercifully, I have plenty of contacts who can take the next step or help whoever I'm trying to work with at the time. So, back
Very good.
when you've lived a while, I collect people, as it were, and so I have this network. So if somebody needs a hand or help, I usually know where to send them.
Absolutely. Now you
Yep.
are the co-founder / writer, actor at MareLoup Entertainment.
Oh yeah, that yeah, a friend of mine, Jen Espenshade, a long time ago. She actually, for I want to say 28 years, give or take, she did the Mud Show at the Renaissance Fair, where there's 3 of them and they perform shows in mud. And it's great this time of the year, that's fine. But come October, that cold mud sticks to you. And they've all had a touch of the frostbite in their careers. But anyway, she booked improv shows in our area. And so then she and I got to talking one night, and we decided that we would collaborate, and we started a company, MareLoup. Her part's the mare, which is the horse, and mine's the loop, which is wolf. And we do improv shows, and we also have mobile murder mysteries that we can just bring to your venue.
Right.
And for example, we were at a theater in York, Pennsylvania, and we went to the theater and to visit, and we went through the place. And then what we did was we took all the things that the people would recognize from the theater and from the area, and we made some of those clues. So that's kind of how we do it. And I guess you call them Easter eggs now. And so that's what we do. That's our company. When both of us have some time.
Yeah.
Now it's sort of people will send us stuff and we'll be like, we can do it, or we have other friends and we'll just go, hey, why don't you guys take that one and go.
Yes. So now wait a minute now. So you're also the actor, director, dramaturg
Yes.
at the Renaissance Fair, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have my like I said, I have my independent shows, and I'm also in the Shakespeare by special arrangement, which is great for me because that's why I auditioned at the Renaissance Fair in the first place a long time ago, because I saw them doing Shakespeare outdoors.
Right.
And now that I'm an independent act, that's a cast show. So fortunately, the director wanted to cast me. So I am Leonato in Much Ado, and William Hutt, one of my favorite actors. Those of you that are familiar with the Stratford Festival know exactly who I'm talking about. He played that role back in the late 80s, early 90s. And he's on the DVD if anybody's interested. It's a really nice, really good production from Stratford. And so I do that, and then I teach Shakespeare we have 2 casts. We have a pro cast and we have an amateur cast. The amateur cast, or semi-pro, they get paid a stipend, and they're mostly, you could think of it as like community theater.
Okay.
However, there are some extremely talented actors who, as one of the other directors, my good friend Jeff puts it, they really like insurance, so they don't pursue a professional acting career. So I don't want you to think that they're less than. Some of them are high school students, so they're in training.
Sure.
And we provide a lot of great training for them, from improv to stage combat to. Also, I tell them, if you're not using it as a school, like this week, all the independent acts are coming in.
Right.
They're setting up their camp. If you are not using your free time during the week to come visit them, learn magic tricks from the magicians, learn new guitar riffs from the guitarists, learn if you muck out the stables, the knights will teach you how to ride a horse. They'll teach you how to fall off a horse. They'll, it's all there for you. We teach you high falls, stage combat, everything, and then you can pursue it as much as you want. And a long time ago, I was talking to one of the magicians, and I said, I can't believe that you're teaching us how to do tricks. And he goes, "I got to put me out of a job." And I realized that's right.
Yeah.
But it gets you started.
Wow.
And then if you have a knack for it, like juggling or something like that, or tightrope walking, there's all those kind of things that most in a normal life you'd have to pay to get lessons. And the frustration level's kind of high, and you've paid for it. Whereas all of these people come to us, and the Procast is living there. So 24/7, they can, whenever they have time off, they can be going and picking these people's brains. And so just that alone is a school.
Right.
And so I do that. And then the dramaturge, I teach history to the cast. And by history, I don't mean they can look up their characters, they can look up historical events. I get down to the nitty gritty, like what kind of a bed did you sleep in last night? So that or that you woke up this morning before a festival day, so that you can sort of greet the patrons with a little more insight. Little things like sleep tight was because, the beds had rope across the frame. And obviously they sag after a while, so you have to tighten them, so little things like that. And so it's playable history, so that a person coming into the park doesn't get a 15 or 20-minute history lesson that's boring. They just get little snippets of life that they may not have otherwise known or experienced.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking about, like, when you were talking about whether it's your students in class or the improv I used to belong to an improv team, and sometimes we would invite people to participate, and it's so wonderful. And I'm sure you feel the same way when somebody just shines.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. It not only makes your job easier, but you get to celebrate sort of their creativity.
Yeah.
And if you're used to working in a troupe, you can work off of each other, and you get really good at it, like a band, I would imagine. But you bring in that new person with that new blood and that new energy, and you don't know where it's going. And I don't know, it's much more refreshing. And also the audience is now bonding with one of their own.
Yes.
And so you can celebrate that and have a great time.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I would recommend it for anyone, actually.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because improv was not any way, shape, or form what I wanted to do in theater ever. I got it. No, in my regular life, I'm pretty quiet and retiring. And so improv was incredibly scary for me. And I want to create a character. I know my lines. I know everybody else's lines. I'm ready to go. I know what's going on in the scene. I got all the questions answered. I'm safe up there. And then working at the Renaissance Fair, we had to do improv shows on Friday nights before we opened, and it scared me to death. And the first time I went out there, I watched people like a hawk, and I saw little tricks that they had, and then I got my first laugh, which also helps incredibly. And from there, I just worked it out. And then it was my third season, and I was playing a pirate who he was the director sold the character to me as dumb as a bag of hammers, but a genius when you put a weapon in his hand. So that was great. So all day long, the fights, I'm doing really well, but the rest of the day, I'm an idiot. And I was made the mayor of
Oh, of course.
And of course, I thought I owned the place, but it was really this Duchess who could rule through me.
Right.
And I walked out on the chessboard, which was a giant wooden chessboard. Now we have it's a stunt chessboard. It's gorgeous. It's AstroTurf on top, and then it's got padding underneath so that you can do all kinds of flips and rolls and all kinds of stuff.
Nice. Nice.
Back in the Stone Age, we had this wooden stage that was like a frying pan, and they were setting the weapons, and so nothing was really going on. The audience was gathering. Maybe there were 2,000-3,000 people there already.
Right.
And I said to the guy setting the weapons, I said, look, I'm going to go out there, and it's either going to be really great or really awful, which is also going to be really great. So I went out there to the middle of the chessboard, and I yelled, "Hey, guess what? I can explain to you the origin of any cliche in the world, any cliche." And I had not prepared. All I did was I thought of this great idea, but I hadn't thought of any cliches or anything. Like, I did no prep, but I wanted to see how far I had come, or how far, if I could really pull this off. And this guy yells out, it was priceless. God was on my side. He says, "Hooray for our side." And I said, "Oh yeah, right. That comes from Lady Godiva, who rode side saddle. Not a lot of people know that. So hooray for our side." And with that, I realized, okay, I can do this. I've seen like the potentially the worst thing that could happen to you when you're doing improv.
Right.
And and I was all alone out there, and it worked. And I've never done that bit since. But that was the thing. And then and so a buddy and I, for many years now, have done a show called Consider Thou This. And we have 3 bullet points. We introduce ourselves. We give you an off-color joke that we've shown you how to clean it up so you can tell it at the office, which that's a clever little bit. And then we have a tagline at the end. The rest of the show is whatever the audience wants us to wring the comedy out of.
Right.
And and believe it or not, we have an audience for that. They love it. And every year we get to do this show, and we keep getting done the show going, we do, but and we're not knocking it. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So you never know. So yes, I've grown a bit with the improv.
Well, yeah, when I used to do stand-up, and for stand-up, you have to remember your jokes, right? Improv, all you have to do is know the game, the rules of that particular game. That's all you
right.
Know. And then you could just go. And so there was a certain freedom for me.
Yes.
I really enjoyed, so.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Stand-up comedy. Did you do it back in the 80s when everybody was a stand-up comic until you proved you weren't? Or
no, I'm a really, really late bloomer. Okay, I didn't start anything until late 90s, early 2005, something like that. I was like already in my 50s and 60s. So I'm really late.
I don't know. Is it late? I don't know. I feel like I feel sort of the same way. Like I'm a late bloomer myself, and I in so many ways. But I feel like maybe we just had to have a certain amount of life experience to get us to that place. I don't know, but yeah, I'm enjoying it now.
Yeah, it was like discovering who I was meant to be in a way. Oops. I'm sorry, I'm just getting a notice from Zoom that's saying that, oh, we have another 10 minutes. They want me to upgrade. They keep showing.
Of course they do.
I'm not upgrading. Yeah. So it was discovering who I was meant to be in a way, Because
absolutely.
Depending on what your childhood is, if you don't get support or encouragement, whatever, you tend to suppress what you want to do.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody's saying, good job there.
Right. And I had, my parents were fantastic. So I had a great childhood. The difference is I played sports all growing up.
Oh,
And so theater was not even on my radar. Like I enjoyed watching movies and going to plays that my friends were in, but I never, I really honestly felt that those people were specially kissed by God in that way, and I wasn't one of them. And really, it wasn't until the story I told you before at college, where I was forced to be on stage for that acting class, that I realized I can do this. And I not only can, but I love doing it. And it got to a point where you can't not do it.
yeah.
So then I hacked around for 13 years, getting just enough work, to keep you in the business. And then I was in a flop in New York City, and and I started teaching school, and I loved that. And I did that for 10 straight years. I gave up theater completely.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I went to the Renaissance Fair, and I saw him doing Shakespeare, and found out that I could literally do both. And I've been able to strike that balance.
Yeah.
And I met my wife here, and I moved out here, and it's been great.
Awesome.
Gotten a lot of opportunities.
Great. Yeah.
And yeah, and there's and this too. There's nothing like it's one thing to write something or to think you're funny, or clever, or deep, or whatever the adjective is. It's another thing to get that response from an audience.
Absolutely.
And man, you find out instantly whether a joke works or a bit works, or I wrote what I thought was a really funny bit. Really and truly, I kid you not, I was on my laptop, I'm typing it. And when I got done typing it, I thought I was so clever and so funny that I literally in my house, I leaned back and laughed out loud. I was so happy and so proud of myself. Be careful when you're proud of yourself. I went to the read through. We're all sitting around, and they read past it, and nothing. And I go, whoa, hold it. There's a joke in there. And yes, it's an older reference. It was a Western, it was Card Shark, and I said, in his introduction, which garnered him the name Maverick, and James Garner was the star of Maverick.
Yeah.
And right, I thought I was so clever. And the oldest actor in the cast, I said, Sheila, you get the joke. She goes, oh, I get the joke. It's not funny, but I get it. And I'm like, it stays in. It's for that. It's going to make somebody happy. Honestly, back then the murder mysteries were just on the weekend. So you had a show Friday night, 2 shows Saturday, and then in March they would add a Sunday afternoon, and then if there was inclement weather, something like that, you might get a Sunday night as well. So the most you could do at the time were 5 shows in a weekend.
Right.
Opening night, nothing. The joke goes, nothing. And so I get the what for in the locker room. See, nobody thinks your joke's funny. It's not that funny. I'm like, it stays in. So the next day at matinee, nothing. Saturday night, they're good. They're gonna drinking. They're gonna have a great time. They're gonna laugh. Nothing.
Oh my God.
Next Friday night, nothing. The following Saturday, 5 shows in, matinee, a guy, I kid you not, he goes, ha! I got 1 syllable. and after that, I was like, okay, we can take the joke out. I was dejected. And the cast is like, oh no, we're leaving this in for the rest of the run.
Oh my gosh.
You are gonna now on some shows
I got some laughs, but it never had what I thought was hilarious. So it just goes to show you
You
you never know.
So we're gonna end it there because I don't want Zoom to shut down on me.
No.
Oh, okay. So thank you. It's just on camera. Thank you, Doug, and thank you for watching the show. You've been watching Doug Wallace. His interview is going to be coming up next week. So I will be posting it. So make sure you watch the show to the end because I want you to like, save, and subscribe. So there you go, everybody.
Yes.
And
I have done that.
all right. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Be nice and peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.